Oh, I shall cause, oh, I shall cause, I shall cause, oh, I shall cause, I shall cause thy message to reach all the corners of the earth. Oh, I shall cause, oh, I shall cause, I shall cause, oh, I shall cause, I shall cause thy message to reach all the corners of the earth.
Coming up, we look back at Artemis II, the historic mission that carried astronauts around the moon and marked a major step towards returning humans to the lunar surface. Then, we look at why food insecurity continues to impact millions of people. All that and more coming up this week.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to a brand new episode of RoundUp, a show where we bring you the latest news and stories from all around the world. Yasser, haven't you noticed that things are getting really expensive now?
No, definitely. Even the small things are adding up now as well.
Exactly, and it's not just felt here. It's felt all around the world by different people.
Which is why it's important to understand what's happening globally. So let's jump straight into today's headlines. Assalamu alaikum Jazib, how are you doing today?
Walaikum salam. Alhamdulillah, I'm doing well. Let's get straight into the headlines. A 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon has begun, following an announcement by Donald Trump. The pause in fighting comes after more than a month of clashes between Israel and Hezbollah, in which over 2,000 people have died. In the hours before the ceasefire started, there were still attacks on both sides. Israel said it carried out strikes in southern Lebanon, while rockets fired towards Israel left 3 people injured. Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, says troops will stay in a small area inside southern Lebanon during the ceasefire to help keep people safe. Lebanon's Prime Minister, Nawaf Salam, welcomed the ceasefire and thanked other countries for helping to bring it about. However, Hezbollah says if Israeli troops remain, fighting could start again. Iran has also welcomed the agreement. Next up, social media is once again in the news. The European Commission has revealed a brand new app designed to check people's ages to help stop younger kids from getting onto platforms they're not meant to use. The president of the EU Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, says it should make it easier for parents to keep their children safe while they're online. And there's a warning too. Social media companies that don't stick to the new rules could end up facing penalties. Now here's a cool discovery from way back in time. Scientists at the Federal University of Santa Maria have found a brand new species of reptile that lived around 230 million years ago. And it even had a beak, a bit like a parrot. The fossil was discovered in southern Brazil, and experts say it lived during the Triassic period. Finds like this help scientists understand what life on Earth was like millions of years ago, and they also support the idea of Pangea, when all the continents were joined together. And staying with science, in Panama, scientists have started carefully releasing the Panamanian golden frog, one of the world's most endangered amphibians, back into the wild. Researchers are placing frogs into controlled outdoor areas to see how they cope. It hasn't been easy though. Many of the frogs have been affected by a fungal disease, which has caused several deaths. Even so, scientists say these early trials are important. They're learning how the frogs behave and survive outside captivity, with the long-term goal of helping the species return to its natural habitat. Another big name is heading for the exit door in football. Bernardo Silva, the captain of Manchester City, has announced that he will be leaving the club at the end of the season. The 31-year-old Portugal international confirmed the news on social media, saying he'll always stay a supporter of the club after his time there. Silva joined City in 2017 from AS Monaco and has since won 6 Premier League titles, the Champions League and a number of major trophies during his 9 years at the club. In his message, he thanked fans for the support and said the club gave him much more than I ever dreamed of. Manchester City also paid tribute, saying he will be remembered as one of their best and most popular players. And finally, it's a return to the world number one for Italy's Yannick Sinner. He has beaten Spain's Carlos Alcaraz to win the Monte Carlo Masters, moving him back to the top of the world rankings. Sinner won the final in straight sets, 7-6, 6-3, claiming his first major clay court title and continuing his strong form this season. It also means he has now won 4 Masters titles in a row, showing just how strong his run has been on the ATP Tour. That's all from me at the news desk. Back to you, Nasser and Yasser. Bye.
Jazakallah for those headlines. It's important to understand how issues around the world leave an impact on us all.
Absolutely, but let's travel to our first segment, taking us beyond our planet, as we looked at NASA's Artemis II mission, a major step towards returning humans to the moon.
Wow, literally beyond. And yes, the mission became the first crewed flight in NASA's Artemis program, paving the way for future lunar exploration after more than 50 years.
It marked an exciting moment for space exploration as scientists and engineers continue to push the boundaries of what we know about our universe.
With that said, let's take a closer look.
Assalamu alaikum. For the first time in over 50 years, astronauts travelled around the moon. And this time, it was not just about history repeating itself. It marked the beginning of something new. So what exactly is Artemis II? And why are so many people talking about it? Well, earlier this month, the Artemis II mission saw 4 astronauts launch from Florida, heading out on a 10-day journey into deep space. Their mission? To find out if humans can safely travel beyond Earth again.
Let me begin by congratulating the team at NASA and our brave astronauts on the successful launch of Artemis II. It was quite something. It will be traveling further than any manned rocket has ever flown and will very substantially pass the moon, go around it, and come back home from a distance that has never been done before. It's amazing. They are on the way, and God bless them. These are brave people.
So how exactly do you go from Earth to the moon? Well, after orbiting Earth for a day, the spacecraft fired its engines in what's called a translunar injection burn. Basically, this is when the astronauts committed to launch towards the moon and leave Earth behind. That pushed Orion to speeds of over 24,000 miles per hour, sending the crew on their way. From there, it was all about timing, gravity, and careful planning. So, how did they do? At its peak, the crew travelled more than 250,000 miles from Earth, breaking a record that had stood since Apollo 13 in 1970. They even flew around the far side of the moon, seeing parts no one on Earth can look up and spot, capturing images and gathering new data from deep space. Re-entering the atmosphere at huge speeds, it heated up to around 2,800 degrees Celsius, hot enough to create a temporary blackout in communications. Parachutes were then deployed, slowing everything right down, before the capsule splashed down safely in the Pacific Ocean. So what does the future for Artemis II look like? Artemis II is part of NASA's wider Artemis program to get humans back on the moon, and this time, to stay for longer. It's also about staying ahead in the growing space race as more countries look beyond Earth. While the mission did not include a lunar landing, its success brought NASA significantly closer to that goal for the first time since the Apollo era. Over 50 years later, humans have headed back into deep space, and now the question is, when will we actually walk on the moon again?
Jazakallah for that insight. It's incredible to see how far human exploration has really come and where it might go next.
Absolutely, it really puts into perspective how vast and fascinating the universe is.
Now we turn to a summary of Hudur Ta'ala wa Nasila Aziz's guidance from this week's Friday sermon.
In this week's Friday sermon, beloved Hazur, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmed, may Allah be his helper, shared powerful lessons about the truthfulness and moral character of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. Hazur explained that the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was known for his honesty long before he claimed prophethood.
हज़रत मसीह मौला अलैहिस्सलाम फरमाते हैं इस बारे में, जब हज़रत सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने इज़हार नबूवत फरमाया तो हज़रत अबू बकर सिद्दीक़ रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हु शाम की तरफ गए हुए थे। जब वापस आए तो अभी रास्ते ही में थे कि एक शख्स ने उनसे मिला, उससे मक्का के हालात पूछे और कहा कि कोई ताज़ा ख़बर सुनाओ। ये कायदे की बात है कि जब इंसान सफ़र से वापस आता है तो अगर कोई अहले वतन मिल जावे तो उससे वतन के हालात पूछता है। उसने कहा कि नई बात यह है कि तेरे दोस्त मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने पैगम्बरी का दावा किया है। आपने सुनते ही कहा, अगर उसने ये दावा किया है तो बेशक वो सच्चा है। इससे मालूम होता है कि आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम पर हज़रत अबू बकर को कितना हुस्न ज़न था। मोइज़े की भी ज़रूरत नहीं समझी। और हकीकत ये है कि मोइज़ा वो शख्स मांगता है जो हालात से वाकिफ़ ना हो और जहाँ गैरियत हो, और वो तसल्ली पाने के लिए कहता है। लेकिन जिसको इनकार ही नहीं, उसको मोइज़े की क्या ज़रूरत है। गलत हज़रत अबू बकर सिद्दीक़ रास्ते ही में सुनकर ईमान ले आए और जब मक्के पहुँचे तो हज़रत सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की खिदमत में हाज़िर होकर दरियाफ़्त किया कि क्या आपने नबूवत का दावा किया है। हज़रत सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया, हाँ दुरुस्त है। इस पर हज़रत अबू बकर सिद्दीक़ ने कहा कि आप गवाह रहें, मैं आपका पहला मुसद्दिक़ हूँ।
There's also a famous moment when the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, asked people, if I told you an army was coming from behind this mountain, would you believe me? They all said yes, because he had never lied. Hazur, may Allah be his helper, said, this shows how important our character is. When you're known for being honest, people trust you. And that opens a door to influence others in a positive way. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, didn't just practice truthfulness, he taught it. He said truth leads to goodness, while lies lead to wrongdoing. He even advised parents not to make promises to children if they do not intend to keep them. One powerful story mentioned was about a man who struggled with bad habits. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, told him to focus on just one thing: stop lying. Once he committed to always telling the truth, he naturally gave up on his other bad habits too, because he didn't want to admit them. Beloved Rasul, may Allah be his helper, reminded us that even small lies matter. For example, if you promise something, even as a joke, and don't follow through, it still counts. The message for today, especially for young people, is clear. Being truthful isn't always easy, but it builds up your character, earns respect, and helps you make better choices in life. 3 key takeaways. 1. Truth builds trust. Even the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, enemies trusted his honesty. 2. Small lies still matter. Even joking or broken promises count as falsehood. 3. Truth protects you. Being honest can actually help you avoid other bad habits.
Jazakallah for that summary. Don't forget to watch the full sermon on the MTA Online 1 YouTube channel or the MTA app, available in multiple languages.
Our next story looks at an issue that affects millions of people all around the world: food insecurity.
Yes, while food is something that many of us may take for granted, for others, access to regular, nutritious meals is not always guaranteed.
And it's not just happening far away, it's something that's affecting communities across the world, including closer to home.
Let's take a closer look at what food insecurity really means and how it's impacting people today.
Food is a human right, a basic need, something every person on this planet deserves. But the reality? Millions go hungry every single day, skipping meals because there just isn't enough on the table. This is what we call food insecurity. When someone doesn't have reliable access to enough affordable, nutritious food. And it's not just happening somewhere else, it's happening everywhere. Around 673 million people worldwide are living with hunger. According to the World Food Programme, the main drivers are climate change, conflict, economic hardship, and displacement. Right now, conflict is one of the most urgent causes. Across the Middle East, including countries like Iran, Gaza, Lebanon, and others, ongoing instability is disrupting access to food, jobs, and essential supplies.
What we know is that world events affect the world economy, and the world economy includes the UK. So the price of things like petrol and energy bills keep going up, and that means that the same amount of pay or salary at the end of the month doesn't stretch as far, and that's when people start to struggle with paying for food.
Last year, the Sutton Food Bank provided around 4,000 adults and children with emergency food. That's around 34,200 meals for people who would otherwise have gone hungry. The community food shop improves food security for around 110 households each week who are struggling to make ends meet, and around 90% of these are families. But the issue isn't simply a lack of food, it's how it's distributed. There is enough food produced globally to feed everyone, yet hundreds of millions still go hungry.
So unfortunately, there's still a lot of shame surrounding persons asking for food help. Adults may feel like they're a failure if it is that they can't provide for themselves or for their families. Oftentimes we find persons who are struggling with food, there are also other things that they're struggling with. So possibly their mental health, physical health, or they may be struggling with, paying their bills. So we try to link them with other persons who will be able to help them in those other areas as well. And also as Christians, we like to offer them prayer because we know that God can help them way more than we can. So it's something that we give an option so that they can choose, so they don't have to do it, but it's something that we like to offer.
At the same time, nearly a third of all food is lost and wasted, around 13% during production and transport, and a further 19% at retail and in our homes. Small everyday choices, what we buy, what we use, and what we throw away, all have a wider impact.
There have been some recent positive changes brought in by the UK government, which is particularly aimed at helping families and children, but there's always more that needs to be done. And I'd really just say to all of your viewers that actually you guys can grow up and be policy advisors, you can work in the government, you could do research, so go out and just think ambitiously about how you could help make changes in our world.
Addressing food insecurity isn't just about emergency support. It's about building fairer, more resilient systems, and that starts within communities.
Well, one thing that you can do is you can get in touch with your local food bank and find out what help they may need, so that when you go back to school or in your communities, you can do a food drive to get help. You can also encourage adults to donate money that can go towards the bills and any staff that may need to be paid within the food bank. And also just letting persons know that there's no shame involved in asking or needing help.
Right now, because of ongoing conflicts around the world, more people than ever are being pushed into food insecurity, losing access to the basics they rely on to survive. It's happening every day in communities around the world and closer to home than we might think. Real changes require awareness, action, and responsibility.
Jazakallah for that important insight. Stories like this remind us that food insecurity is a real and ongoing challenge for many people.
No, definitely. But most importantly, it encourages us to be more aware, more compassionate, and more willing to help where we can.
But unfortunately, we have come to the end of this week's episode. If you've enjoyed today's stories and features, be sure to join us next week as we bring you more highlights from all around the world.
If you would like to watch this episode again or catch up on any that you've missed, head over to the MTA News channel on YouTube or visit the MTA app.
And you can also follow us on Instagram at RoundUp MTA for extra clips and daily news updates.
And if you have any feedback or ideas for future stories, you can send them through the MTA app or email us at roundup@mta.tv.
We'll be back next week with more news and inspiring stories from all around the world. But until then, Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, I shall call, oh, I shall call, I shall call, oh, I shall call, I shall call. Thy message to reach all the corners of the earth. Oh, I shall call, oh, I shall call, I shall call, oh, I shall call, I shall call. seek to reach all the corners of the earth. Oh, I shall cause. Oh, I shall cause. I shall cause. Oh, I shall cause. I shall cause. Thy may seek to reach all the corners of the earth.